The Green Bay Packers are back this week playing on Sunday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Now, the 12th man has certainly lost a step over the last couple of years, but it may be returning, especially with the way the defense has been playing for the Seahawks, and their offense has done pretty well, despite Geno Smith not being the best option you could possibly have. But for them, you can't get much better than what they have. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, and let's go over the game like we normally do. The Packers are looking good. Yes, they lost last week against the Lions, but they played them as hard as anybody has. They played the Lions as good as just about anybody has in the league, other than the Vikings. Vikings also gave them a really good game. And if it weren't for a couple of penalties that were missed, again, I'm going to say this again. The Lions were benefited from several bad penalties that should not have been called and some that absolutely should have. Yes, I'm a Packer fan, but let's be honest. Again, the PI penalty that should have been called against Amon-Ra St. Brown, the face mask against Geno Smith, there was that total roughing the passer call that was not called. But let's not lean on that because the Packers, while may not be a big chance, they do still have a slim chance to win the division. They just need a lot of help from the Lions and the Vikings. But if they really want to help themselves out, win this week against Seattle. They should be able to win this week against Seattle. They're looking good, and they're getting players back. Other than Javon Bullard, who didn't practice, basically everybody practiced today. And even better than that, Luke Musgrave is open his 21-day practice window, and he should be back within the next couple of weeks. And that'll be a big boost. Sure, before he got hurt, he wasn't playing very well, but adding him along Tucker Kraft can only do good things. Only can have good things happen with two big tight ends on the field for the Packers. We also have Corey Ballentine, key special teams player, practicing. Jair Alexander hasn't played for several weeks. He practiced. Adrian Cooper, practiced as well. He would be a big boost in that linebacker core, especially with, some people like Quay Walker just not playing all that well. But the Packers are looking strong, and their offense looked great last week. Again, Jordan Love escaped without throwing another interception. Could have done better at time. Could have made some better throws again. Short arm some throws, which we've seen a lot of this year. But Josh Jacobs has been on a tear lately. Let's hope Christian Watson learned how to hold the ball, hold it high and tight, not high and outside like he did when he fumbled last week. Jaden Reed had 2 targets, probably gameplay that ran him out, and hopefully he'll be able to get into that more this week. Romeo Doubs again, he practiced, so having him out there would be an immense upgrade out there for sure, because he's definitely one of Jordan Love's favorite targets, and he's going to continue to get more targets as long as he's out there healthy. And they got a great receiving core. Yes, I know they're not as good as what they were last year, but they're still better than a lot of receiving cores in the NFL. I mean, look at the teams like the Titans, the Jaguars, let's see, the Bears even. Yeah, I'm saying the Bears would love to have a wide receiver core like the Packers do. Yes, there are no one definitive number one wide receivers, but there are at least a couple 2s and a couple good 3s. That's a really good lineup that anybody would love and gravitate towards. And Jordan Love, as long as he continues to not throw interceptions, he's going to be good. He makes good throws. He is still a very talented player. And the defense, for all their faults last week, played a hell of a game. They were great all game long for the most part. Yes, they got beat at times, but most teams are going to get beat when you have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs out there, and then pairing with the Amon-Ra St. Brown, a wide receiver, and Jameson Williams as well. Also Tim Patrick, who's really been coming on strong the past couple of weeks. A lot of teams are going to look foolish when playing the Lions, but the Packers played them pretty darn well. It's hard to really expect a team like the Packers to do any better than they did last week. Sure, they gave up 34 points, but that game was close the whole time. Even early on when it looked like the Lions were absolutely going to blow their doors off and win handily. The Packers hung in there. Their defense hung in there. They forced a touch or an interception from Jared Goff. That again, Jared Goff never should have thrown that pass. He had it. They saw it coming a mile away. It was a meatball. It was right out there. It was the Packers for the taking, and they took advantage of it. Hopefully, the Packers can get to the Seahawks this week. The Seahawks offensive line has been better of late. Now, Kenneth Walker is questionable. He might not play. Now, Zach Charbonnet had a really good game last week, for sure. But is that more of a factor of the Cardinals' defense starting to falter, or is that because Zach Charbonnet is the second coming? I'd probably lean more towards the fact that he's a good change of pace back, and when thrown into a starter role, can give you some really good minutes and some really good yardage. But is he the next best thing in Seattle? Probably not. But he's a good secondary running back. Kenneth Walker is still the main man. But again, he's had injury issues for most of the year. I mean, he's had his fair share of great games for sure. But he's been missing in action a lot. And another thing for the Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba has been a revelation for them this year. He's been great all year long. DK Metcalf just hasn't been himself. He's had good games this year, but again, he's been kind of up and down, not knowing which DK you're going to get because he's still kind of a head case in the locker room. Tyler Lockett is old reliable, and that offensive line has some good moments and has bad moments as well. Like a couple of weeks ago against the Bills, that was really bad. But again, the Seahawks are a mystery. I really do. I really think they're a mystery because when you look at their schedule, they've beaten some really bad teams. Yes, they beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals still in the playoff race. But let's be honest, the Cardinals have been exposed the last couple times they played the Seahawks. But when they played against other really good teams like the Bills, they got absolutely blown out in Seattle too. That 12th man is not what it used to be. The defense, certainly, they have great players. Murphy in the middle of the defensive line, and Tariq Woolen, when he's not getting absolutely burned, can give you some really good time out there. It's just Ernest Jones as well. Ernest Jones is really good as well. But I still don't know if I fully believe in the Seahawks. Yes, they are looking like the favorites to win right now in the NFC West, but they need to keep winning because the LA Rams are right on their tail. And if they lose and the Rams win this week, the Rams are back in first, I do believe. So, and the Rams still play the Seahawks again. Rams beat the Seahawks once already, so it would behoove the Seahawks to win this game. If they don't, I'm not going to say it's going to be a free fall for them, but it very well could be kind of somewhat of a free fall for them because I do believe Seattle still plays San Francisco one more time this year. So Seattle could very well end their season losing 3 out of 4, which they could still be in the playoffs. But again, if at any time, especially late in the year, if you lose 3 games in a row, your chances of making the playoffs drop like a rock. You cannot lose 3 games in a row. And if they lose to the Packers, they very well could lose 3 or 4 to end the season. But I think the Packers are looking great. Yes, they lost last week. Yes, they should have been able to stop them. Yes, they should have gotten a touchdown at the end, but no, the refs decided, no, that's offensive PI. But when Amon-Ra St. Brown does it, nah, he's just playing the field. Oh, it's just a little bump, nothing much. There's no penalty there. Nah, I just kind of bumped him, even though I literally grabbed him and pushed him away. That is total offensive PI. If that's not offensive PI, I don't know what is. But the Packers are looking strong. I think the Packers very well win this game, and it's not going to be a dominating fashion. I learned last week that the Packers, even when they do well, they don't always dominate. But in this game in Seattle, the Packers win 35-27. Packers could very well score the most points this week. I think they're rip-roaring ready to go. This defense of the Seahawks can be had. They've had their moments this year against really bad teams, but against really good teams, they've gotten absolutely destroyed. And the Packers are a really good team, and especially bringing back the likes of Dobbs. Musgrave probably won't play this week. I wouldn't expect him to play this week. It'll probably be another week or two before we see him in uniform again on the field. But the defense is getting a bunch of players back. Having Evan Williams back in the secondary, and when he went out, there was a noticeable difference. There was an absolutely noticeable decline in the amount of passes over the middle that the Lions were able to complete. When Evan Williams was out there, sure, the first drive, not very good. But after that, the Packers really got the better of them. They were able to force Jared Goff into some bad throws and even caused an interception. But as soon as Evan Williams went out, those middle, intermediate routes were there all day long. Tim Patrick, boom, 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 wide open every time. Evan Williams being out there certainly helps a lot. He is a real diamond in the rough that once again, Goody finds great diamonds in the rough. 4th round pick out of Oregon. He's been great. And as long as he's able to play, that helps that secondary immensely. Again, with Xavier McKinney and others as well. Also having Corey Ballentine out there would help a lot. He's not the best cover corner in the league, but he's an instrumental special teams player for them. And when the Packers special teams aren't doing well, they're probably not winning games. But the Packers are looking good. I think the Packers win. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, go Pack Go, and God bless.